to Soundtown. We've done a lot so far.
Is this episode 6? Edit this so I don't look dumb.
I think 4 or 5.
I look dumb.
5, 6, 5 or 6.
I don't even remember what I said the first
it's
time.
Gonna, if you on the look on the Apple Podcast or the Spotify, it'll tell you. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll tell you. But
don't ask us.
Don't
what do
ask
we know?
us.
What do we know?
Yeah, but just so you know, though, if you are watching a specific thing, just know we're available to be listened to everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Check it out. We're here for you. For you. Today on Soundtown, we're talking to, admittedly, somebody that we weren't extremely close to. They had booked shows for us and we'd go and they were very nice. That's why I thought we had such a great conversation with her. Avery LaVergne, who books shows for a collective called Terry's Serendipity Café. And we got to know her better. We got to know about Serendipity Café a lot better. I learned so much. I thought she was super nice to take the time to talk to us. How did that conversation go for you, Eric?
Well, my phone was just freezing out a lot, so I missed out on chunks and chunks of the interview. I just kind of was smiling and nodding, even though was I frozen on your screen? Because you guys were frozen from my screen. You guys were both frozen for multiple parts, and I was just kind of left hearing the beginning and the ends of conversations and not really knowing what happened in the middle, but not really wanting to disrupt or anything. So I just kind of smiled and nodded along and tried my best, but I was really struggling.
You were there, and you were able to chime in a couple times, but and even though Eric wasn't really,
I tried my best.
Even though Eric wasn't super involved, I still think it was a really good conversation.
From what I heard, it was great.
All right, well, without further ado, here's our conversation with Avery. I think the best way to start this off is I'll share a quick anecdote about I think how we first met you, Avery. Yeah. I think you reached out to us, right?
Yeah, I did.
Which, by the way, whenever that happens, which is pretty rare, whenever that happens, we are super flattered that somebody thinks of us for a show and reaches out to us, because it's usually the other way around. So thank you. So yeah, we get a message from an account that says Terry's Serendipity Café. And you say, do you guys want to play a show in Montclair at this day and time? And we're like, oh yeah, super stoked, let's do it. And so you send us an address and we go and we show up and we walk in and it's a synagogue, it's a temple. Yeah. And we were a little thrown off because we've never played a synagogue show. And we
played a church show, but not a synagogue show.
Yeah, we were expecting, my mistake, a cafe. But look, it was so much fun. It was a really great space. You guys had a whole back line for us. It sounded really good. Everyone was really helpful with helping us set up. There was a crowd of kids there. I'd want to say maybe they were like early high school. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like most people that are coming there, like freshmen to like senior year, more like sophomore, juniors. And,
we play shows all the time and it might be a packed crowd, but a lot of people are kind of just sitting there. Like for some reason they're forced to be there. And at that show, everyone was having so much fun. They were dancing and that makes us as performers feel so good. So could you maybe explain for us and whoever might be listening or watching, like really what is Terry's Serendipity Café?
So in the 90s, there's more backstory to like how it officially starts.
Okay.
So in the 90s, I think it was, because we just had our 25th anniversary, so I'm thinking 95. There was a post office shooting in Watchung Plaza. And so parents like felt a little uneasy about like having their kids do anything really in Montclair. And at the time, there was no space for like people in high school to go. Like you can figure that out on your own. Like you're like an adult, like you're a teen. So there was like a group of kids and one of them was Terry. And everyone was like, Terry, like, what do you think like we should do? and he got the idea of like, let's have like this music collective and like have people come and perform. And so they didn't really have a name. Like they were figuring out a name, and Serendipity was the one that stuck.
Mhm.
And then Terry actually ended up later passing away due to epilepsy.
Oh, no.
So that's where we get the name Terry Serendipity Café. I don't know where the cafe part comes from. I think the original name was Montclair Students Music. Oh, shoot. It's something about like music students like collective in that realm. I'll try to find it later. But yeah, he started this thing where people could come and have like almost like a safe space to enjoy themselves and have fun. And like the biggest rule that was a part of it was respect the people that are playing and like the people around you. And that's where you kind of get that level of like, oh, people are really paying attention to me and they're really invested in like the music I'm playing, because we really strive to have that environment. And I think it's really important, especially like for people that perform there like in high school, or like you guys, for example. So like coming to a show and like people kind of just lounging around, just sitting there, and like you're in high school and it's just like kind of intimidating, you don't want to perform again. But like having Serendipity, it just gives you a way to get that footing of performing and having people really enjoy your music. And it's never like a fake way of like, oh, we just have to do it because like that's the rule. Like from what I know is like, and we have a critique after every show, people are just like, I really enjoyed the music, like this was really good. Like none of it's like fake or like we are forced to really just pay attention because we have to. It's really that we do enjoy who's ever performing, and like we're really engaged with the show.
Yeah.
So that's like it.
That's awesome. I had no idea about any of that backstory. That's really nice. And to what you were saying, you know, that's an environment where, yeah, everyone's having fun, but there's no sketchy stuff going on. Like no one's out in the back drinking or doing drugs. Like everyone's there just for the music. And what we talk about a lot on this podcast is, you know, it's really difficult to find fun places to play music, especially if you're young, on the younger side. Like when we first started our band, it was really difficult for us to get our foot in the door in like the basement scene. So we had to play bars. And playing bars was such a pain in the butt because none of our friends who were our age could go because they were under 21. But like you said, your space is a place for kids who just want to go and listen to good music with their friends, which is awesome. How long have you been involved with Serendipity Cafe?
I started my sophomore year, which was in it was the 2017 to 2018 year. And I like, cause what we had to do, like I was in a small learning community in high school, where we had to get like community service hours. And I was like, I like music. I like listening and watching it. So I was like, this seems like a good idea. And it gets you this sense of like, and then it kind of just turned let me backtrack. Sorry. Cause after that, cause I just recently graduated.
Congrats.
Thank you. But it gave me more of a sense of like, understanding how shows and marketing and like how kind of the world of music and like live performing music really works. And so that's another great thing about it. If you don't like performing, you can learn how to do all these like background scenes kind of things. Wow. Ugh. Yeah. So that's how I got started. It was just my sophomore year. I needed community service. This seemed like a good idea, and I kind of just stuck with it, and it just became like a really fun thing to do.
That's great. And so are you still involved? Well, I think you texted me the other day. So you're still involved, right?
So yeah, like I was going to go up to school. Yesterday would have been my move-in day, but I'm just going to be here until January. So Ed was like, do you want to keep staying and coming to meetings? I was like, yeah, sure. Why not? I'll be here.
That's great. Where are you going to go to school?
Ithaca College.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for you. It's better off playing it safe. And
yeah. Well, they canceled it, actually. We were going to go, and then they canceled it.
Well, you're going to do online classes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but definitely better off, I think.
Yeah.
People are crazy. So, are you the main person who's booking gigs there, or is it a group of you that are reaching out to people?
So yeah, it's and what's always been is like collective of students who like come together, and once a month someone can say they want to do it, or one of us in the group will like be like, hey, you should do this, and they'll like step up to do it. That's what happened to me. So it was odd how it kind of happened that I became like the main person. It was my junior year. I just started booking shows, just kind of like, this seems like something I'm kind of like good at, or like I spent a lot of time on Bandcamp trying to find new bands, and that's kind of how I found you guys too. And I just started booking a lot of shows, and that's how it kind of became me as the main person knowing a lot about what's happening and like how to get it all done and like how to communicate with people, because not many kids like were doing it or thought to do it. I don't know, they just didn't feel like booking shows, or they were just like, I guess the idea of being intimidated by booking a show, I don't know. So that's kind of how it happened, of me being the person that everyone kind of came to. It's just you book a lot of shows and that just seems like, oh, you're the one who's running it. But no, I am not the only one. There is a group of us that just ran from like freshmen to seniors. It's not just one person, it's a collective, it's a team effort. Like no one's higher than the other person. That's a good thing about Serendipity, is that everyone's pretty much equal in how we do it.
That's awesome. And I mean, for people who might not understand it, organizing a show and then even pulling it off is definitely not an easy feat. What do you think is like the hardest or most annoying part, or could you follow up with the best or most fulfilling part of it?
The hardest part, I would say, is like booking sometimes, and especially when you don't want to book the same people over and over again, because then it kind of gets boring and people are just like, I already know what to expect going into this. And yeah, booking, because you want to find new music. I don't know, I had maybe spent so many hours on Bandcamp just trying to find different people within New Jersey that were current, were still making music, and weren't too like big, like, because like Pine Grove's still on Bandcamp. There was another band within Montclair that was still on Bandcamp, and I was like, you guys aren't bookable. So it's like, that was difficult. So that's the tricky part. But the most fulfilling part is when you're really like down on the like wire. Like the last show I booked, it was maybe the day before we really needed like people to come and perform, and like we pull it off. Like that's the best part about it, is like when you're really on the line and you don't know if you're gonna get it done, and it's done and it really goes successful and a lot of people show up and they really have a good time. That's probably the most fulfilling part about it, and it's just good and it's easy. That's the best part about it, I feel.
That's awesome. We don't have to talk about this if you don't want, but there has to have been one artist or band, and we don't have to name names, that gave you like such a hard time.
There's not people that give me a hard time.
No one like showed up late and then was like, we have to do this, this, and this in order to play, or I'm playing last, or they were just being mean.
That does happen, where people are like, can I switch my time? Like my friends aren't coming this time, so can we just like switch it up? I was like, okay, sure. But no one's ever given me like a hard time, or like it's been a hassle to have them perform. There are people that show up late and we have to like switch their times, or like there are people that cancel like the day of. There was a guy recently who did that. And he had like a paper to write, and I was like, if you knew you had a paper, then don't commit. But no, I don't think I've ever had a bad experience. There's performers that were like, let's never do this again because your music's not that good. And it's usually, there was like a rapper we had that wasn't too good. I won't name names, but everyone in the group will like say like, yeah, we just don't do this anymore. It was like a Little Peep sort of like wannabe rapper is how it felt. So other than that, everyone that we book is like really good and respectful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And from our perspective of we've been around the block a couple times, and nothing comes to mind of people who've been mean or disrespectful to us. I think that just speaks to the community as a whole of people, at least in New Jersey, who are trying to organize shows or create music, which is really, really cool in my opinion. I've never been a part of a community like that before. Let's paint this scenario. Let's say I'm a brand new band and I'm listening to my favorite podcast, Soundtown with Eric and Russ, and I hear about Serendipity Café. Sounds like such a great place to play. If I'm a new band and I'm looking for a gig, what is the best way to reach out to you? I'm not talking about platform. I'm just saying, what in that message should they say that's not too overbearing or rude? What's the best way to approach somebody to book a gig?
That's a difficult question because we rarely get approached.
Okay.
Like, it's always us going to the person, or it's just people that we've known for so long that there's a rapport of like, hey, doing this, like, you want to come by? But I think for a person that wants to come out and play, I would say like, hey, I'm a new band. And I think what's also very important is sending music that you have.
Yeah.
Because it's very important for us to know what style of music you are and like how would it fit within the set list I already, like the set of people that I am trying or thinking of inviting to a show. Because I think hearing your sound is super important. Like, hey, I'm a new band. Here's a demo I have of some music I've created. Just whenever you guys have like a date for a show, please keep me in mind. Like, I'm interested in playing sometime whenever you like have a show coming up. I'd love to play it. Like, thanks. Something like that. Like a short, sweet, like, hey, here's my music. Whenever you guys have a show coming up, I would love to play it. Something like that. I would feel is really best. It's short, it's sweet, like, it's straight to the point, and like we understand what you're doing.
When a group last minute needs to cancel on you, what's the best way for them to send that message? Does it help for them to give you alternative people to reach out to? I mean, it's really tough on you again when they cancel, but like, what's a good way for them to break the news or help you out?
It's the hardest thing when someone cancels, because like you've had a set list, you have all these times set up, and then they cancel on you. It's always the most annoying thing. You understand why they've like can't make it, but it's just so frustrating when someone cancels. I think the best way is just like, hey, I didn't realize I had this thing. I have to cancel. I'm really sorry about it. It'd be super helpful to give someone who's an alternate or an alternative to us, because like once you've like canceled, like that's like we're shit out of luck at that point. Like we don't know what to do. And like before in the past, like you could find someone who's like available, but like it's been pretty dry with like who in town makes music. Like if you cancel a show, give them an alternative to a performer, because like we're really just SOL if you don't, and it's just so frustrating and hard at that point. So
yeah, I totally get that. I mean, I try to do that when I have to cancel, or even again, it's so nice when people reach out to us, and if we can't do it, I feel really bad, so I try to give alternatives for them. So I think, yeah, that's a really great rule of thumb for sure. What do you think, Eric? Are you frozen?
Yeah, I'm having pretty bad technical difficulties here.
Oh no.
It's freezing like a couple times a minute on me, so I'm missing like big segments of speech here.
How does it look on your end, Avery?
it's
Am
good.
I still frozen?
I mean, yeah,
hear
like
me?
I hear you. You're going.
Yeah, I'm doing okay here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just me.
Maybe it's just him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'll ask you another question then, and hopefully it levels out for you, Eric. I don't know. I'm not a tech guru in this Zoom world.
I just shouldn't be on an iPhone doing this because it's just not working well.
We'll find a good solution for you someday. Could you tell me about who's the older gentleman who helps you guys set up? he seems very authoritative, firm yet fair. And he's helped me a couple times just setting up my equipment. He has really great insights on stuff. We discovered how things work together, and that was really, really a nice moment. I thought, again, I didn't know anything going in. I thought maybe he was Terry. Was he a part of the original group? What's up with him?
So that's Ed. A lot of people do think he is Terry, but he's not. So that's Ed. He is about 75, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah. He is an incredible guy, like, for like what he does every day and like what he does with us. He he's been here for a while. He was not a part of the original group. Like, he wasn't the first advisor that we had. He would just come to the shows with his kids because they like lived in the surrounding area. And so he just came enough times and they saw him. And the guy that was the advisor before, I guess they became friends. And he was like, well, Ed, I'm leaving, so would you like to take over? I think that's kind of how it happened. And he just became our advisor. And he's been here ever since then. He houses all our gear, and we go to his house every month. We have a show, and he's just kind of the best guy ever. Like, he's really cool. He's really nice. He goes running every day, like long distance runs. He can still pick up like pounds of gear and like put speakers up on the stands. It's really impressive. And yeah, he has a bunch of music insight. He plays in bands still. He's a bass player. He's a guitar player. He's a drummer, I'm pretty sure too. But like anything music and like technical, really, ask Ed. He knows a lot about it. And like anything you need to know about music, he'll know it. And like even random facts, he's also a beekeeper. Like, he just has bees in the backyard.
He looks like a beekeeper. Like,
yeah.
if he was in a lineup of people and someone said, one of these people keep bees, you have to tell me who it is, I would pick Ed.
Yeah, like, he has bees in his house. Like, he's just the coolest guy, and everyone loves him. Like, no one's ever had a bad experience with him. He's not mean. He's a really nice guy. He is very authoritative, but he is fair. Like, he's very understanding if something goes wrong, and like if a mistake or if you need help, he'll just do it. He's not going to complain about it. He's not going to be mad at you. Like, it's just so easy with Ed. Like, he's just the best.
And he's got a great mustache.
Yeah. He only gets a haircut every 6 months. He hates haircuts, so it's only like a few times a year he goes and gets one.
Oh, this quarantine is a great excuse for him not to get his haircut at all.
Yeah.
Good for him. What do you think the immediate future of shows are looking like? Obviously, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Everyone wants to be safe. But I saw that you guys did host a show recently, and from what I saw on Instagram, it was really, really safe. You guys were outside and in a park, and the performers were far away enough from the audience, and the audience was spaced out really nice. How are you guys continuing to host things during COVID?
Yeah, so what we thought to do, and it was a really difficult road to kind of figure out what it is we're going to do, because when it all first started, we were meeting on Zoom, and we were trying to figure out how would a Zoom show kind of work. It didn't end up working too well. Like, we couldn't figure out the kinks of it, so we just scrapped it, and we didn't do a show until June. So the idea was, okay, we've done shows outside before. It's not a difficult feat for us. But the other hard thing is finding people who are going to be willing to come out and perform. Like, people that are like comfortable to perform. Like, we didn't know who would be wanting to do that or like comfortable to do that. So I just did like an open call, like, hey, anyone who wants to perform, just message us. But the idea was, let's do it outside. That's the safest possible way. Everyone wear a mask, enforce social distancing, and wipe everything down that every performer touches. Even us, ourselves, we have to wipe everything down, or assign yourself to one set of equipment. And that's how we've been doing it for the past 3 months now. We've done July, June, August. That was out of order. And so that's what we've been doing, is just wiping everything down once everyone's touched it, make sure it's clean, and just enforce social distancing and wearing the mask. And that's how we've done it. It's been pretty successful. And from what I know, no one's gotten sick from being at any of the shows recently. So
That's great. I'm glad you guys are keeping everyone safe and finding ways to have fun during all of this. And I hope you continue to follow those guidelines. And I'm so stoked that you guys are doing so many cool things. You especially. Can you tell us, like, are you a musician yourself?
yeah.
You mentioned you're not in a band, but what kind of stuff do you
Yeah.
do?
So I own three guitars actually, 2 acoustics and 1 electric. I've been playing music since I was in 7th grade, I think. Yeah, because I started with bass guitar, kind of got boring, and I gave it up, and then I just switched to guitar. So I've been playing music for a little bit now. So it's like a range of music that I like to play. A lot of it originally was acoustic music. Like Ed Sheeran had been like my top artist of the decade, I'm pretty sure is what Spotify told me. Oh no, that was Panic at the Disco. But like for a long time, Ed Sheeran was my top artist every year. But a lot of just acoustic singer-songwriter type of music is what I started out playing. Like a lot of finger picking stuff, bluegrass. And then like recently just trying to get more into like jazz shaped chords. And just playing music kind of like that. Like sevenths are probably my favorite progression of all time. Like it's just the best sounding one to me. So like music like that, bluegrass has been like a thing I got into this year, really like heavily, trying to learn how to flat pick, just music like that. So, or like indie music.
If you wouldn't mind just bearing with us here, we have ad reads that we need to do. So just to get it out of the way, thank you to our sponsors. Happy birthday. Everyone has a birthday every year. And what better way to celebrate it and say you're thinking about someone than to say, happy birthday. Avery, you have a happy birthday balloon in the background there. Were you or a loved one celebrating a birthday recently?
It was my birthday.
Oh, happy belated birthday. There's sharks on it.
Yeah.
How was your birthday experience?
It was good. I spent it with my family.
That's great. Did you have a cake?
I did.
What flavor?
It was chocolate. My dad made it.
Is chocolate your favorite?
Yeah.
Was it like chocolate cake with chocolate frosting?
Yeah. It was like a Betty Crocker box mint.
That's still so cool.
Yeah.
There you have it, folks. Birthdays. Eric, anything to say about our sponsors? Happy birthday.
You guys unfroze in the middle of this, so I didn't realize this was an ad read. Am I frozen?
No,
Still?
you're not frozen. He's frozen. Anyways, thank you to our sponsors. Happy birthday. When you have a birthday coming up, remember, if you know someone who's having a birthday, remember to wish them a happy birthday. Thank you for bearing with us. It's just, formalities we have to get through, Avery. Usually those are funnier. We play a game called This or That, where we give our guests options between this or that, and you have to pick. Would you want to play?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. Hopefully Eric can bear with us here. The first This or That, movies or films?
Movies.
Why? I didn't really give any.
Yeah, wait.
And I did that on purpose. What made you say movies rather than film?
Because I think film, when you call it films, it seems so pretentious to me sometimes. So that's why I just stick with movies.
I feel that. Eric, I don't know if you're frozen, but movies or films?
Films, just because it sounds fancier.
Eric is a little pretentious.
I'm very pretentious.
Oh, of course, we're not frozen when I say that. Eric, do you have a this or that? I'm putting you on the spot, sorry.
No, it's okay. Pop-Tarts or toaster strudel?
Oh, Pop-Tarts.
That was quick.
That's the right answer.
Do you put the Pop-Tarts in the toaster or the microwave, or do you just eat them?
Sometimes I eat them just like out the packaging. As a kid, I put them in the toaster, though. But not anymore, no.
It's definitely dependent on the flavor.
Mm.
What's your go-to Pop-Tart flavor, Avery?
Oreo, yeah.
What about you, Eric?
I like s'mores, and when you put them in the microwave for like 15 seconds, that's the good stuff.
That's awesome. My brother, growing up, my brother, he's still allergic to everything, but growing up, we really had to be careful about everything that we brought into the house. And obviously, he was a very, very picky eater. And so one of the only things that he liked to eat were the brown sugar, right? That's what you call it. Pop-Tarts without the icing on them. It was so bland. It was so gross. So my first couple of year experiences with Pop-Tarts were not the best. But then I've expanded my palate, and I agree with Eric. The s'mores are pretty good. I've yet to try the Oreo. I've seen people make like Oreo pies or cakes with crumpled up Oreo Pop-Tart.
Yeah, I know my brother, he used to scoop out ice cream and then pop the Pop-Tart in the toaster and then just like mix it into the ice cream.
That sounds baller.
Yeah. They would put other things in it, but I don't remember, but it assumed it was good. I never had it, but.
So you mentioned, learning about how marketing and this music stuff works. Is that something you're looking to continue in college, or are you setting your sights on a different career path?
Yeah, so I am majoring in cinematography. So it wasn't so I learned a lot about marketing through the 3 years I've been here. I've never been one into marketing at all, really. It was just kind of something you learned through doing this. You understand what people don't like and what they do like and what they kind of gravitate towards, especially when it came to music. And especially the time we live in is not many people are into indie music as much as they were in 2015, 2016. They're more gravitating towards hip hop, Tyler the Creator, or Frank Ocean, and guys like that is what more people in Montclair want to enjoy. But I can't get you Tyler the Creator or Frank Ocean. I just can't do that. So it's been a difficult process of getting people to shows. But yeah, marketing was a big thing that I learned. This is why I wrote my college essay on of I've learned a lot about how people interact with music and what they gravitate towards and what they don't. So that was kind of the biggest thing that takeaway I've gotten from Serendipity.
That's awesome. What are your favorite movies? I'm so interested now that you're studying cinematography.
I have a lot, so it's hard to always pick a top three. That's the hardest question to ask anyone who loves film.
Sure.
Right now, I always ask, whenever someone asks me that question, it's right now, my top three favorite movies are probably Knives Out, Heathers, what's the third one? And probably Lady Bird.
Nice. I've heard two of those three. What's Heathers about?
It's an 80s movie with Winona Ryder. It's just how it's a commentary on, it's the original Mean Girls type movie. It's a coming of age movie about how she meets this guy Jason Dean who just moved here, who's really just crazy and just thinks high school is just a load of bullshit and everyone's just bullshit, and they go on this rampage of murdering people, but they cover it up as if it's their suicides because Veronica, who's the main character, is really good at forging signatures, so she can forge anyone's handwriting and make it seem like they wrote this suicide note. But it's just this commentary of popularity and cool people and just like high school in general. So that's a really cool one.
Nice. Eric, if you can hear us, what's your favorite movie?
Oh, that's a really hard question. I've suddenly forgotten every movie I've ever seen.
That happens.
I really liked The Lighthouse, which came out last year. I watched that a few times, like in like one weekend. What else? I've also loved Jurassic Park since I was a child. What about you, Russ?
I think my favorite.
Did I freeze?
What?
Okay, cool. Did I freeze?
My favorite movie of all time, Avery, you gotta tell me if you've seen this or not, is the 2003 summer blockbuster hit Big Fat Liar, starring Frankie Muniz, Paul Giamatti, and Amanda Bynes. I love that movie to death.
I watched it in quarantine recently.
Good for you. Did you like it?
Yeah, I've watched it a bunch of times, but I like the movie.
So I studied television production in school, and I like making short films and stuff on the side. And after I rewatched that a couple times, that movie, I realized, as silly as it is, that was the movie that inspired me to get into video production, which is crazy. Do you have a movie or video that did that for you, or was it an instance, or were you just always a fan of that kind of stuff?
I think it was actually through YouTube. I watched Casey Neistat a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like way before he did like the vlogs and like people really started to know. It was like he probably had 400,000 subscribers at the time. And he just did these little like movies with his son going to like Germany, or like his promos for Nike. And those were like really interesting, like fast paced like cuts and things. And so that was when I like discovered like, I like how this looks like visually. What is the word for this? Like, how do I operate a camera? Like, how do I put that? And the word was cinematography. And so that's kind of how I learned about cinematography. But a movie, I don't think I've had like a movie that's been like, yes. But if I had to think of one, it would probably Gone Girl. Because like for me, I don't think of movies as like writing or acting and how it's done. It's really a visual experience for me. Like, and how it's colored, how it's edited, and how they shot it, what camera they use. Like, that's my big focus when I'm watching a movie.
That's awesome. I'm sorry, I'm geeking out right now. Do you have any favorite cinematographers or movies that did make you feel that way?
I have a lot. Dear White People, because of the way in which their cinematographer did was that she shot in rule of thirds. Yeah. And she like would shoot, she just used these crazy angles and these ways that no one really does it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. Another one was The Favorite. That one is like, that's up there for me just because of their use of the fisheye lenses and the way they kind of just, the fisheye lenses, what they did was that they had it, like you were really in the room, like you were a fly on the wall within the movie. And that was really interesting because it's supposed to be like this secret, like, Queen Anne like is this like closet lesbian and no one knows, and like for them to use these like lenses and like the way in which they position is just like you're in on this like little secret that they have. So that was really interesting, and also their use of only natural lighting like within the whole movie, and it was just like that's such a difficult feat for anyone. No one really likes doing it that way, and it was just like they do it so beautifully, and it's just such an amazing movie. I'm trying to think of another one. I can't think of one.
It's okay. There's
so
probably
many.
a million.
I
think that is so cool, though. I hope you have like the most fun when you go to school.
Thank you.
And I mean, unfortunately, that is a major where it's a lot of hands-on work, and it sucks that you can't really be there to do that. But when you get there, it's going to be the most fun. I'm excited for you. We try to do a lot of music videos on our own. And maybe if you're around next time, we'll have you come and help us out. If you're interested, you're probably
I would love to.
For us.
I'd love to.
That's awesome.
Welcome back.
Again, thank you so much to Avery from Terry Serendipity Café for talking with us. Wishing her the best of luck when she returns to school and as she continues to throw shows during this pandemic era.
I choose to blame Zoom for my technical difficulties.
I
It's
bet.
just, I don't know if it might have just been all my fault, but I'm choosing to blame them.
But yeah, let's just blame Zoom. You know, you're a monopoly. You think you can take over while, you know, America is in dire need? And now look at you. You look like a fool.
Because I looked like a fool.
Because you made him look like a fool. Eric, I mean. But Avery, Avery, thank you so much. Hope to talk again soon. And thank you for listening to Soundtown. And we hope you come back real soon.
Next week soon.
Next week soon.